The entire captivating and profound story of throne and liberty, a world of intricate lore and deep narratives, truly begins with the ancient and mystical myth of Sylaveth. Sylaveth, a figure of immense beauty and grace, was indeed the most beautiful and radiant daughter among all the children born from the powerful and divine union between Einar, the benevolent and luminous goddess of light, and Lanquis, the formidable and enigmatic god of darkness. Following her mother Einar's will, she worked alongside her siblings to create numerous races and build a harmonious world. However, everything changed when Sylaveth fell in love with a forbidden being and conceived his child. Enraged by this, Einar banished Sylaveth forever from the realm of the gods. The creation that Sylaveth carried inherited all of her mother's resentment and fury, and thus was born the dragon clan that would defy the gods. Sylaveth rose up against the gods alongside the dragons she had given birth to, and in response, the gods created their own champions to represent them. Thus, with great intensity, began a massive, devastating war between the powerful, ancient dragons and the valiant, divine champions, a conflict that would forever alter the course of history. As the war dragged on, the divine champions decided to seal Sylaveth directly. They prepared a trap by installing a massive mana stone on the mountain called Grace of God. When Sylaveth appeared alone on that mountain, having fallen into the trap, the sealing magic began to envelop her entire body and draw her into the mana stone. The mana stone, absorbing her tremendous power, glowed brilliantly with a violet light. The dragons came flying to rescue Sylaveth upon hearing her screams, but it was already too late. At the moment Sylaveth was about to be completely sealed, her final curse, "I will remain in this world forever," reached the dragons. In that moment, the dragons made a desperate choice. They sacrificed their own bodies and threw themselves into the magical energy. The mana stone exploded and the massive mountain called Grace of God was reduced to dust and disappeared. The exploded mana stone split into fragments large and small, scattering throughout the world. To human observers, it appeared as a truly colossal violet star, dramatically exploding. Consequently, people throughout the ages came to universally refer to this celestial phenomenon as the legendary Star of Sylaveth. Over time, the scattered fragments of the magnificent Star of Sylaveth began to mysteriously reside within certain exceptionally gifted children. People called these children the Starborn, and they possessed incomparable combat prowess, magical power, and even the ability to transform into animals. Among these, Starborn were Rowan and the protagonist, who would later play major roles in Elysium, as well as Calanthia, who would become a great threat. However, the special powers of the Starborn soon became targets for the greedy. In 1192, the shadow of war fell upon the Elysium continent. The Arkeum Legion, led by Revolupius and Khazar Simosin, began their invasion. Revolupius was originally a member of the resistance but had betrayed his comrades to monopolize power and become a dictator. Khazar, Revolupius's right-hand man and supreme commander of the Arkeum Legion, discovered the power of the star fragments and devised a plan to use them as tools of war. The Arkeum Legion's goal was clear: to locate and find the Starborn, to then steal their immense power, and ultimately dominate all of the vast and ancient realm of Elysium. However, formidable resistance forces also quickly organized themselves to stand firmly against the oppressive and tyrannical Arkeum Legion's relentless tyranny. The United Resistance Army led by Da Vinci Aron was exactly that. Da Vinci united guilds and factions from various regions to launch a resistance movement against the Arkeum Legion. The resistance army consisted of orphans who had lost their families to war, people who had suffered from the Arkeum Legion's oppression, and heroes burning with a sense of justice. Meanwhile, the mage Jan Junath was secretly protecting the Starborn on Wisp Island to prevent them from being exploited as tools of war. However, Calanthia discovered the existence of Wisp Island and launched an invasion. In the horrific massacre that followed, Jan Junath sacrificed his life to save the children. Among those who endured the harrowing events of that fateful day, a solitary child in England survived. While there were numerous large and small battles between the Resistance and the Arkeum Legion, The Battle of Belphoret was the decisive moment that would determine the fate of all these conflicts. In this final battle at Belphoret Castle, the Swan Knights, led by Rowan, daughter of Lord Mark Aron, and the Resistance army, launched their last assault against the Arkeum Legion. Gerard, wielding his silver shield, and Knight Commander Rowan engaged in fierce combat with the witch Calanthia, ultimately managing to sever Calanthia's arm and seize the advantage. However, the true battle began with the counterattack by Revel Lupius and Khazar. Though the resistance appeared to be overwhelmed by the powerful Arkeum Legion, Clay used wind magic to throw the enemy ranks into chaos, and seizing this opportunity, the archer Cason's arrow struck and pierced Revel Lupius. With Revel Lupius fallen and Calanthia wounded and sealed away in the Tower of Greed, Khazar and the Arkeum Legion were defeated. The Battle of Belphoret ended with the victory of the Swan Knights and the Garden Army. The victory at Belphoret marked the beginning of a new chapter. Revel Lupius's death was a tremendous shock to Calanthia. He was the only one she had ever truly trusted and depended on. Upon hearing the news, Calanthia was driven to utter madness and began a forbidden resurrection ritual to bring Revel Lupius back to life. Meanwhile, after Revel Lupius's death, Khazar Simosin became the de facto leader of the Arkeum Legion, vowing revenge for their defeat and patiently waiting for the right moment. Long before the Great War of Solisium began, battles to claim the Star of Sylaveth had already been raging across Solisium. The Arkeum Legion, now led by Khazar, arrived in northern Reichsland, where the resistance led by Da Vinci stood against them. The resistance fought bravely, but the power of the Arkeum Legion was beyond imagination. What Da Vinci's resistance barely managed to hold back was only a small portion of the Arkeum Legion's total forces. In this situation, Clay's final moment arrived. While investigating incidents of star mana leakage and disappearance, he witnessed a massive portal opening and Khazar's appearance. Clay evacuated his comrades outside the portal and stayed behind alone to face Khazar. It was the ultimate and final sacrifice of the valiant hero who had bravely protected his loyal comrades at the epic Battle of Belphoret, and subsequently saved the protagonist and the powerful starborn individuals at the mystical Wisp Island. From the sealing of Sylaveth in the Age of Myths, through the birth of the Starborn, the Arkeum Legion's invasion, and the formation of the Resistance, to the heroic victory at the Battle of Belphoret, all these events are leading toward the final confrontation currently unfolding. The sacrifice and courage shown by the heroes of the Swan Knights have become the foundation of a new legend, and now a new Starborn hero follows in their footsteps, preparing for the final showdown with Khazar.
It's a moto kaketa.